Welcome back to my channel, Casablanca Cargo. This is Kathy, and today we are going to use up every lovin' scrap of paper to make a journal. Okay, so we need some glue, and I've been using the Aleene's original tacky glue. Got this at Michael's. Works perfectly for this. These are some journals that I have done over the weekend. They are in my shop, and they are laminated 1-inch journals, traveler's notebook style. This one has a key tag, a little bead, and a little tag that says blog, and then of course journal up in here. And this one has a button on the elastic closure, and so the binding is elastic string. On the inside I have 3 folders that are cut down from manila folders. Here's a tag I made. It says once upon a time, and there's a little lady, and that's the back of the tag. Okay, so what I've done is taken 15 pages of 12 by 12, cut them down, and then just used up all the scraps. We make a hinge, we glue pieces together. I don't know if you can see that right here. It's been glued together to make one additional page, and that is how I go from 15 12 by 12 pieces of paper to a journal that has, let's see, well, there's 10 to 11, you know, length of papers like this, 8 inches, and then folded at 4. Okay, so here's the pad of paper that I use. It all comes from the inserts are all coming from this pad of paper. It's called Theodosia Square. So they all coordinate. Is I'm down to 2, I believe 2 now. I just go 1, 2, and these are all different designs. Score pad. I'm going to use the scoreboard with the cutter on the side, because it's just easier. You can do it with a ruler and scissors too, you know, if you don't have one of these, but I have this, and this is what I'm going to use. So what I do, if there's a direction with the paper, let's start with this one. Okay, here's the direction of the paper. Now, I want to use this way in my journal, you know, so the lettering is when you open the journal, it's going this way. So what I do first is I take this, and at 7 1/4, I pull down the paper. Now you can either do the top edge or the bottom edge. It just, you know, like right here at 7 1/4, that's the length of the signature. it's going to cut through this Sound of Music section. Now sometimes it doesn't matter if you want to do that, or you can flip it around and see where it's going to cut. Here it's going to cut through the people. So I would rather cut through the Sound of Music, the lettering, than the people. Okay, so I've got that cut. About time to change my blade. Save this. We're going to use that again. And this now is going to be one whole piece of paper folded, but it's still extra long. So now what I'm going to do is cut the width when this is folded. Since I want it to be at 4 inches in my journal, I'm going to cut it at 8. And again, with the images, I figure out which one, you know, I don't want to cut through the people, so I'm going to cut it this way and trim it down at 8 inches. Okay, now this, so then this piece is now exactly 4 inches, and this piece will get a hinge to go into the journal. So we're going to save this as well. So with your 15 pieces of paper, before I go on to that, let me show you. Then I just take this piece now, which is 8 inches in the width, and I just push it lightly against the back edge here and fold it. I just give this a light crease, not too hard. And this is one piece that will go into a signature. That's what I call a whole piece. So I'm still not at a point where I'm going to glue anything yet. So let's do another page. So again, this one is a mishmash. You know, the print is everywhere, so it doesn't really matter where I'm going to cut it. So another thing is, you can either cut it at the height, or you can cut it at the 8 inches and then cut that down as well. But I'm going to go with this way and try not to get myself confused. And save this piece. And then we trim this off at 8 inches. And I've made mistakes, but it's a pretty forgiving operation, and I've been able to salvage. This is going to be a hinge piece, so these two can now be hinged and made into one 8-inch piece that folds at 4 and goes into the journal. I don't have a hinge yet, so we're getting there. Okay. And this is another solid piece. Even if it's a little bit, like, see, that's not folded straight. You can either fix it if you think you can, or you want to. But really, when it gets in the book, it's at different parts of the book. You know, one's in the front, one's in the back. And usually, it all works out. All comes out in the wash, as my grandma used to say. Now this one is 12 inches still in length, but I need a hinge. So if we go this way, here's the 4-inch that I need for the width of the page, and here is 3/4 of an inch extra. Now this can be achieved 2 ways. I can either trim off this extra, and then I have a long hinge, and I'll cut that down to the right length and use that, or take this piece, trim it to the right, let's see, what do I need to do? Okay, trim it to the right length, or width, I guess we'll call them that, the width. Cut this off. Yep, do need to change this blade. Keep this still at the 4 3/4. So instead of cutting it off and then folding it and all that type of thing, I'm going to turn it over. Let's see, which way is the print on this? Doesn't matter. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to score it at the 4 inches right here. Let's make sure it's all the way. There we go. At the 4 inches, I'm going to score it just very lightly because this is thin. This is that thin scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to take it and fold it, and there's my hinge. So instead of cutting it and then folding this little piece, which you can do, I just took it and made the hinge this way. And these, let's see, then you can take one of these guys, and since it's a little bit still too long, I can either cut it now or put it in, let it dry, and then you know, slice it off. Sometimes it's a little easier to do it this way because you don't have to be, you know, exactly precise, you know, get it in there. So let me show you this side. This is you know, I don't want to go over the edge, so let me just use this paper as a guide for a sec and just glue a little bit on. It's kind of hard to control this big bottle, but you just do your best, do what you can, and then take this piece and do the white edge to the white edge. I find that's easier, so that when I turn the page, it's all, you know, designer page, the back side. So if I want to take, let me get a paper towel here. If I want to take a stencil and stencil this white edge, then I'm just doing the whole page. It's not trying to just do a 4 inch, you know, the 4 inch width. And I have a video of how I break the page, as I say. So there we go. So now I have another, you know, width of paper to put in the signature. And I just make sure that I like this because it's complements the paper because it all comes from the same paper pad. And just leave it open, set it to the side, let it dry, and I'm just going to continue now working the page. Again, we have extra. Now, because I have extra, and this and this are going to be put together. So I want to start making hinges. I want to have some hinges to work with. This one is just a little bit more than 4. So I'm going to take this one, and you need a little bit of extra to be able to glue them together. So one of them is going to stay longer, and I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to mark that so I can see it. Sometimes with the overhead light I can't see the line on the white, and I'm just going to cut this part off. Now this is my extra hinge, and I'll set that to the side. Okay, now on these two, I'm just gonna see, like, I like the flowers up here, and if I go like that, I'll cover it up, or I can go like that, and you can still see the flowers, still see this bit up here. And then with the scoreboard, because my goal is 7 1/4. I'm just going to bring this down to the 7 1/4 mark, and let me put my finger here. I have all this space that I can glue, and that's what I'm going to do. And let's see, I'll just score this down a bit, make sure it's glue's pressed in there. And we're gonna, if there's any lift, this one's not too bad, but if there's any lift, just go in. You can also use a really good glue stick for this, but I like the liquid glue. I think it just works easier for me. It's still 12 inches long. So once this dries, it's not real easy to get the blade through the wet. But once it dries, I will cut it at the 8 inches, and then I have 4 inches for another page with a hinge. All right, so let's see. Let me show you. Let me do one more page that's different. This one has some writing this way. So, but because of this sort of wallpaper look to it, I've also used it this way, you know, just make the hinge. You can't hardly see what that says. I don't know, I guess it goes this way. Can you see that? Okay, so this one over here, and this one is now going to be cut down to 8 inches. And if you make a mistake and this is less than 8 inches, you can still use it. Just put it in the farthest part of the signature. Put it in the middle, towards the middle, because all the pages, when you put them in a book, you know, they sort of push the next page out a little, and sometimes, you know, you have to trim it off or whatever to make it more lined up. If you want it more even, just put a smaller signature in the middle of the signature. A smaller paper in the middle of the signature. Oh, wait, I was going to do this as a. All right, I'll cut it off to make it the hinge. Okay, this goes over here. Now this is a little trickier, but it is still very much viable. So if you even have other paper that you may have strips of left, you know, obviously a little bit thicker than this, you don't want it to be a too big of a hinge. A 1 inch, 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch is probably perfect, and then you fold that 1.5 inch in half. But I have journals where I've used a completely different collection of paper for the hinge, and it's just a pop of unexpected color, it's a pop of an unexpected print, and I feel it just enhances the journal. Now see, look, I did my best to make that come out, but it's still not to the edge. I find that it's just too difficult on a thin piece of width like this to score it and fold it. I end up with the same results. But this is still usable. So let me get my other papers. Not these, because those will blend with that paper. I want to use something different. So we'll use this one and this one. Put that one to the side. And let's see, now I want to make sure that the print is going, yeah, in about the same direction. This one makes it, it's just about the same length. So this is going to be a little bit easier. And I'm just going to glue on both sides of the hinge. And since the flowers are over here, I'm going to put it this way, and hopefully I did not goof, and just sort of gently tuck it into that folded line. I don't know, I'm holding it up so you can see it. And then the print is going like this, and this is upside down. But even if it turns out upside down, I don't think it matters that much. This piece of paper is a little bit smaller than that one even. Okay, so then just put those in and press, and then I open up again to make sure none of the glue seeped. If it did, you just wipe it up, press it so all the glue gets on the papers. And if it didn't, you can always, you know, mend it as you go. But now there's that hinge, and it's a different print, so it still coordinates. But look, doesn't that look neat? Like that. Let's see. Hold it this way. Now we've got these two pieces of paper, and I'm going to, these are 4 inches exactly, and this is, you know, back to back too much. So now I'm going to bring it down. Let's see, which way of view is up? There we go. Okay, and come down to 7 1/4 for the height. And I have all this space left, which really, you know, you could trim that a little bit more, but I find that it actually, I think, makes it stronger, and then you don't have to worry about a tiny little piece of paper. Just put it in there. And try to line it up as best I can. And of course it could come over a little bit on that side, which is fine. You just take your scissors once it's dry and just trim that off a little bit, or just, you know, bury it in the hinge if that's the side you're going to put the hinge on. So once I get 2 of these, I still don't have a hinge. I need a hinge. Oh, here it is. Got this one. And we'll cut this one down to, let's just give it a little more than 7 1/4. But once it's dry, I will cut it out. And then we just have this little piece, which I have no problem throwing away this little piece if I need to. I can do it. I can do it now. I don't have a problem. Okay. All right, that one turned out pretty good. That one's pretty good. Okay. And I'm going to hinge these two together. So if you have any questions, please, you know, comment, and I will try to explain what I'm doing. You know, I was just this little quiet crafter, just coming up with stuff, Never had to explain it to anybody but myself. What are you doing? Oh. And now that I have made YouTube videos, I have to explain, like, you know, how do you do it? I don't know. I don't know. What's the measurements? I can't say. You know, and it's all been a big old learning curve for me. And thank you for coming along on this journey. You're here from from the beginning. Gosh. Okay. So this one is hinged now. And there's the hinge. Here's the glued sections. There it is on the front. There it is with the hinge. Am I in camera? Hope so. A little bit ooping out on the back. But there you go. So what I'm going to do is continue making these pages, and then I will come back when I'm closer to the end of it and show you how I do the collage part, because that's pretty neat too. And then how I assemble the journals. Okay, I'm back, and this is what I have left of cutting off all the papers. So I'm going to collage this together and see how many more papers I can get. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to use, let's move this up. I got some coffee while you were gone. Okay. I'm going to use the 12 inches here on this scoreboard as a guide, and I'm going to have a little bit of fun as I figure out how I want to arrange all this. Okay, here we are for the final segment of this. Using up all your scraps for journal inserts. Now, this is the collage that I just showed you previously. 7 1/4 in height. Now I'm going to check to see where it's going to hit on the paper. What do we have here? 11 1/2. Okay. I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter than 7 1/4. Now it's going to cut this ad here. If I do it this way, yeah, like, well, it's going to cut across her face, so do the top of the ad. Okay, so a little less than 7 1/4. Out there, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go like that, and this will give me, now let's see, I'm going to do the 8 because I'm just going to fold this one. I think that's a good spot. All right, now this should just be, well, it's a little, well, that's cool. Okay, it's a little bit more than 4. That's perfect. This one now, I'll fold this one up, if I can. It's on a, there's some glued parts right there. See if I can get it. You know what? I can score it. Didn't fight. Score. Let's go before. Not too hard. Yeah, see right there. I was trying to avoid that, but oh well. It'll be alright. And now I just fold it like that and score it just a little. And a whole other piece. And we have what left? Okay. How tall is this now? This is only 5. And we can rebuild it. We have the technology. I'm going right through that ad, but oh well. I tried. You're all my witnesses. There. I have 1 hinge left. What about that? Huh. So this was cut off from one of the papers I was going on. And I'm gonna get this glue to both sides of the hinge. I've got 2 more pages out of that collage, plus a tag. That's pretty cool. This is all I have left of the cutoffs. So I think that's pretty good. Just these little scraps. And I guess if I needed to, I could have used these as hinges as well, but it didn't come to that. And I have this that I can back and make into a tag. So let's get these out of the way and I will assemble the journal. So I have now, let's start with the proper, no, that's not it. Here they are. These are the ones that are scored at 8 and folded at 4. There's 17 of these. One's a little bit longer than all the others. One of these things is not like the other. So let's kind of trim it down. Sometimes, you know, I get distracted and I'm measuring. These are the, I didn't cut this one down yet. Like I said I was gonna, but I will now. Go. That's satisfying. Boom, done. I have 2 of these from the collage, and then I have 17 that I made with the hinges. Okay. Now, in a junk journal, I shoot for about 10 pages a signature. Here's the journal. This is another laminated. This one is a napkin on a piece of cardstock. How about that? I glued it, laminated it, put my little, this is inside the laminated, the journal. This one has, it says, little tag, it says Muse, and this is a little heart, and then this little tiny thing, I'm getting new glasses, or I'm getting an eye exam on Friday. It's little sailor anchors. But I'm going to go like this in case it is glaring. And there's the back. This is all napkin. And it's on actually scrapbook paper. Now, I try to, 1, divide all the papers up. 2, try not to put the same design right next to each other. And you know, I try to mix and match. for joining me. Bye for now.